Good morning, everyone. I'll start by thanking the organizers of WWD Day 2016 for their kind invitation to bring us here and assemble in this symposium. My presentation is on traditional uses of Prunus africana wood species by different Kenyan ethnic tribes. And as the chair said, my name is Francis Mburu. I teach in Masai Mara University. It's one of the public universities in Kenya. Kenya has 42 ethnic tribes speaking different languages and with different cultures. And all these tribes are known to use medicinal plants. And these plants, by distribution, exploitation, and management, is guided by cultures of each tribe. Prunus africana is one of effective medicinal plants that is widely used in Kenya and is highly regarded for its effectiveness. Preparation of these medicinal plants vary with tribes, although we have some similarities. Herbal medicine administration to the patient is done traditionally by qualified people in almost all the tribes. And these people anoint or choose their hair or someone to inherit from them at their old age. And this is done at the point when this herbalist decides to retire in a few years to come. And therefore, they nominate only one person in a family, mainly either the firstborn or the lastborn of that family, and give them power or that ability to understand the healing power of these traditional herbs. This person who has been nominated or anointed by this traditional healer serves in loyalty to the old herbalist, and in those last years of the old man, they are sent to collect the plants from the natural forest or plantation forest or from the domestic sources. Our research objectives, with the main objective were to determine and compare the traditional medicinal uses of Prunus africana, which is Pigeon africanum, tree species, by different Kenyan ethnic tribes. And then finally we did some analysis of the bark extracts. So specific objectives: one, we were to determine and compare the medicinal uses of Prunus africana wood species by different ethnic tribes of Kenya. Two, elucidate the Prunus africana tree parts as utilized by different ethnic tribes for treatment of different problems. And three, chemical analysis of Prunus africana bark extract. The study area was almost all over Kenya. As I said, we have 42 different tribes distributed throughout Kenya, and the map shows the 11 main tribes, but we have the sub-tribes adding up to 42. The research team comprised of Masai Mara University, where I work, professionals, and we used postgraduate students to collect the data. Visits were conducted to identify the authentic herbalists in different ethnic tribes. We used semi-structured interviews on 120 people or herbalists who practice, and by that we were picking 10 herbalists from the 12 selected tribes that use Prunus africana for treatment of different health problems. The data was collected from the herbarists, both men and women, but 60% of the herbarists were women. I don't know why. There were more than men. Where possible, or if we were lucky to meet a patient, we interviewed them and tried to confirm the evidence as given by the herbalist. Thereafter, Prunus africana bark specimens were collected and packaged and sent to France for chemical analysis. Spectroscopic analysis of dichromethane extract of the bark was performed to determine some of the many active components. ANOVA was used to analyze and synthesize the qualitative data which was collected from the herbalist. In my results, in the first column, I have different parts of the tree that were used by the herbalist, starting with the bark, roots, leaves, and the stem. The second column, I have the problems or the ailments that were treated. For example, the bark was used to treat prostate problems. Prostate problems is very common for men who are aged over 45 years and above. Fever, chest problems, STDs, impotence, fertility, and immune problems. And the communities that reported that included the Kikuyu, Maasai, Luya, Kalenjin, Kamba, Pokot, Taita, Melu, Luo, Digo, Nandi, and Kisii. Effectively, it means from the 12 tribes that were sampled, all of them reported to use bark. If I pick on the roots, roots were used to treat unstable pregnancies, swollen lymphatic nodes, fibroids, irregular and painful menstrual cycles, toothache, and aid during the childbirth. And the tribes that reported that include Pokot, Kikuyu, Kalenjin, Luo, Luya, and Maasai. Leaves are used to treat stomach problems, constipation, respiratory problems, malaria, diarrhea, cholera, skin rashes, boils, wounds, anemia, and ulcers. And the tribes that report that include Meru, Kamba, Luya, Luo, Taita, Digo, and Kisii. The stem is used by different tribes to treat arthritis, rheumatism, back, measles, cultural board syndrome, that is about madness, diabetes, and hypertension. The tribes that reported that include Luya, Nandi, Kisii, Kamba, Kikuyu, and Maasai. The preparation for these parts of the tree, starting with the bark, we have 3 ways of preparing, of course, depending on the tribe and the belief. The bark, in some instances, is boiled in the water, and the decoction is taken as instructed by the herbalist. The second option, the bark is infused in water without boiling and is left overnight to extract. And that decoction is used again as instructed by the herbalist. The third option for the bark, it is powdered. Its powder is boiled in porridge or in soup and taken as instructed by the herbalist. Leaves, we have 3 options that were reported by the people who were interviewed, where in the first case, the leaves, dried leaves, were smoked or put in the fire, and the smoke is inhaled by the patient to open up or to clear the respiratory systems. The second way of doing it, leaves are boiled in water and taken as instructed by the herbalist. And the third option, dried leaves are crushed into powder and applied on the wood, open woods, or the open boils. And lastly, the stem, we have 4 ways of doing it, where the stem is crushed in a pestle and a mortar and boiled in water, and the decoction is taken as instructed by the herbalist. The second option for the stem, the pieces of the stem are cooked together with the traditional food, and that food is taken as normal, and of course it has the medicinal value. Third option for the stem, the powder is boiled in soup or porridge and taken as instructed. And the last one, powder, the stem powder after crushing with the mortar and a pestle is mixed with petroleum jelly and applied on the skin to ease pain. In case you have a swollen part, is applied on the skin to ease pain. That is a distribution of 3 parts as used by different tribes. And for example, if you can see the blue part, it shows that almost all the tribes use bark in a big way. The yellow columns shows the roots and the numbers that reported. So effectively, we are saying all parts were reported to be used by all the 12 tribes that were interviewed. I did some statistical comparison, and there was significant difference when you compare the use of different parts by tribes at p-value of 0.05 or 95% confidence interval. Chemical analysis by use of proton NMR spectrum, we realize that there is a signal at 12 ppm which corresponds to hydrogen of carboxylic acid fraction, and we have a signal at 5.25 ppm as shown there on my figure. I don't know where the pointer is, I could have shown, and that corresponds to vinyl proton present in a double bond. And from these observations and the data which I check on the literature, it is assumed that dichromethane extract consists mainly of glycosidic glycoside of triterpene acids like orenoric and usoric acid. By use of FTIR spectrum, we have signals at 1690 and 2600 per centimeter, and these are carbonyl and hydroxyl groups, respectively. And we have hydroxyl groups of sugar unit at that 400 and strong absorption at 2860, which is a characteristic of carbon-hydrogen vibration, which are present in aliphatic structures of terpenes. These are also present in the conventional drugs that are used to manage some of these reported problems in my area part. And in my conclusion, the study shows wide use of Prunus africana across Kenyan ethnic tribes. Preparation of this medicinal plant is dependent on the knowledge which has been passed on through generations. There is high similarity of utilization of Prunus africana parts, and this can be used as a confirmation that this wood species is effective for treatment of different ailments. And different parts of these species are used depending on ailment and cultural beliefs of each tribe. And from the chemical analysis, we can conclude that proton NMR and FTIR analysis of dichromethane extract indicates presence of phytosterol glycosides. And with comparison from the literature, it allows us to identify triterpenes like orenoric and usoric acid as the main components of dichromethane extract. Our recommendations are that efforts should be made to do more analysis and analyze, try to identify and validate some more compounds of interest. And 2, Such studies may contribute to development of important pharmaceutical products for future use. And that ends my presentation. I thank you all for being attentive. Thank you.